In the meantime, I want to introduce Alicia to come on from Smartbox to do a presentation for us for 15 minutes. And are you on? There you are. I see.
I am.
And I'm going to start that right now. So thanks for being with us, and thanks to Smartbox.
Thank you, David. Thanks everyone for hanging in there for the last presentation. We are going to do a whistle-stop tour of not everything, but a few things that we've been up to at Smartbox lately. So we're going to look at some software and we're going to look at some hardware. Like I said, I'm Alicia Alverson. I'm a speech therapist and clinical education specialist with Smartbox. As we look at our different solutions today, I really kind of want to bring forward our mission. We are a mission-driven organization, and we really want to create a world that's inclusive and accessible for everyone using technology that supports communication and independence. So the first thing we're going to look at are some aphasia supports that we've been busy creating called Aphasia Duo. And I am going to just switch what I'm sharing here, and we are going to jump into the software itself to take a look at it. So one thing we know about aphasia and AAC is that there really isn't a lot of awareness around AAC in the aphasia sphere. It's becoming more and more, but we're really only seeing it be considered for patients who have really severe aphasia. And so as we've looked through the literature and dove into how we want to create some supports for aphasia, we really found that AAC is an important tool in aphasia recovery, both in that language recovery piece, but then providing compensatory supports and strategies that a patient and a person can use for the rest of their life as they work through any challenges, any difficulties they have with communication due to their stroke. So I'm going to open up Aphasia Duo 16, which is one of our sizes offered. And the Duo is kind of a two-meaning thing. We've got two different versions, but really the Duo is that we meant for these to be a collection of supports. Somebody might use all of them, they might use some of them, but we want them to use them alongside of their communication partners. So this isn't just getting at the alternative part of communication where this is going to be somebody's main form of communication with aphasia, but it's also getting at that augmentative piece. So it's going to support them and give them compensatory strategies for any form of communication they're using in their life. As we look at Aphasia Duo 16, we're going to see we have some supports over here on the left side. We have just some main supports, we have visual scenes, and we have topics that we'll look at. And then over on the right side, we have this info button, which is going to give caregivers and anybody who's helping to customize a system for somebody really quick information on what's meant to be customized on a page and where to find how they can edit things quite quickly. So if I open this up, again, you can see here's a little bit of information about topics. Here's where you can find them. There's no editing information right here because we're really not going to edit too much on this page. But we'll look at that in a little bit too once we get to a page that's meant to be personalized. And then over on the right-hand side, we have supports that are built in for word finding. So as we're looking at this 16 vocabulary cell layout with a few extra things on the left and the right-hand side, who are we looking at this for? This is really for somebody who is going to have word finding difficulties, may not have as severe of aphasia, and certainly has the ability to be able to visually process all of the information on the screen. So they can tolerate having some smaller button sizes. They can tolerate all of the pictures on the screen and things like that. But it's for somebody who wants access to a lot of different supports to help them through their communication journey. So over on the right, I'll start here actually with word finding. We have a lot of different ways that somebody could look for word finding support. They could go into chat help and they're just going to get some kind of clues about what it might be if they're having a hard time finding a word. they can go to word help. That's going to give them 3 options. They can use a whiteboard to draw something that they're looking for or a word that they're looking for. They could find it by category if they know the category that it's
I know the
in.
category.
So if it's a leisure word, now you've just got a bunch of words about leisure that you can scroll through and look for. Or if they know the first letter of a word,
I know the first letter.
they can also search that way. So maybe the word
D.
starts with D. Now they're going to get a bunch of words that start with D. And again, they can just scroll through those until they find the word they're looking for. And then, of course, they have access to a full keyboard too. So if they want to type something, we have word prediction, we have a full keyboard that they can use as well. We're going to back up over to the left-hand side into our supports. And these are our general communication supports. So you're going to see we have some yes/no pages, a really simplified page, with also things in between yes and no, because not everything is always yes or no. We have rating scales that aren't number-based, but they're context-based. So we wanted to take away the guessing work of is 1 or 5, what end of the scale is a 1 or a 5 or a 10 on. So these are all going to be very descriptive in nature, very easy to follow along without any guesswork. We have schedules to support people's scheduling needs throughout their day, whether it's about their day or through their whole week. And then these are some of the word finding supports that we already looked at. And then we have things like maps around the world, maps of the community, different maps that people might need to help talk about a story, about something they're looking for, about where they're going, a variety of different things. We have our emojis, which are inserted in most of our grid sets at this point. So just a nice way to communicate without using words. Let's see, we're getting towards the end of the day for some of you. So, we can talk about, all right, we're ready to go out for happy hour. There we go. Then I don't have to use any words to communicate that. I get some fun sound and animation alongside of it. And then you've got things like Alexa built in over here, some settings and accessible apps. I won't go into those in detail right now. And then for visual scenes, we have, I keep opening up the animal one today, but so we'll look at that. You have a stock image. This is where things are meant to be customized. And then you have phrases along the picture and then some single words down at the bottom and a link to get back into just a generic topic grid. If we open up our info button, we'll see this is meant to be personalized. Add a photo of your person with aphasia engaging in this activity. You can do this in the edit grid by going to menu. And it also says you can change the words and phrases by editing the word list as well. So it gives those hints for that person that's supporting the customization of the system. Really easy to access, really easy to get to. And then topics, again, are just very generic topics. If we go into mental health, for example, we have some full phrases here, but then we have a lot of other topics about mental health and things very specific to questions about my aphasia too. So we wanted to support that whole journey of the injury process, the whole journey of the recovery process, including having robust mental health vocabulary that comes along with Aphasia Duo. So that's a really big whistle-stop tour of Aphasia Duo. There's a lot more inside of there. And then for somebody who maybe has more severe challenges because of their stroke, whether they're physical challenges, cognitive, visual, motor, or they just need something a little bit more simple, they need bigger buttons, we have Aphasia Duo 9 that's going to give a simplified experience. There's not going to be quite as much vocabulary, but you're going to have the same supports that are offered. So you have your word finding, you have your yes/no scales, you have your rating scales, you have your visual scenes and your topics as well. Okay. I am going to totally change gears on you guys now, and we are going to talk about grid for schools. So different population. We're talking now more about kids, our school-based population, and want to talk about some of the new things in our Grid for Schools package. So for some of you who aren't, if you're not aware yet of Grid for Schools, it is a complete communication package that offers content, but along with that, you get resources, training, software, and support with it too. It's a way for districts to buy grid in a bundled version, and it's really tailored towards universal design for learning and how we can start to deploy AAC as a strategy for teaching curriculum to whole classrooms, and not just special education classrooms, but general education classrooms as well. Within our content package, which is available with anyone that has a license to grid, you don't have to have a special grid for schools license. We have this new SuperCore See and Say grid set. So we're going to pop over and look at that quickly. And this is one of my favorite tools. Having worked with some districts in the last couple of years on projects where we've essentially created this from scratch, but what it's allowing someone to do is to pull up curriculum resources that they're using, so web-based curriculum. I'm just going to pop over here to National Geographic as an example. And then we have core words pulled from SuperCore that exist on the bottom. So I could go in, and I'm just changing the web page to demonstrate something here. We're going to talk about animal types and birds, let's say. I have words here where I can engage my classroom. I can do some modeling. I have a visual communication system that's really easy to display up on an interactive whiteboard or project in other ways for full classroom use. So I'm thinking about myself as a teacher using this in a classroom. And how I can model this language. And then the second bonus from having this visual system are multilingual language learners in classrooms. And we've really seen how AAC can impact their participation in classrooms, even if they don't need AAC to communicate on a regular basis. And so what's great about this grid set is I can pop over and maybe I want to talk about colors of something. And you'll see my web page stays along with it. So even though I'm making jumps and I'm going into different parts of this communication page, I'm not losing access to the part of the web page that I was on. So again, just a nice support for universal design for learning for whole classroom instruction. Okay, and then changing gears again, we are going to go back. Let's see, I don't know if I actually popped over and shared the right thing. So let's just make sure we did. We are going to jump into some hardware updates. Very recently, within this past week, we have actually released our newest device called GridPad 16. This is our latest purpose-built device. Compatible with all access methods, including eye gaze switches, head mice, you name it. You'll see that there's these nice smart buttons on the front of the screen. You've got a couple volume buttons over here to allow you to control volume no matter where you're at in your device, and then the Smartbox logo. And these two buttons are programmable. So you can program those to anything that you want. Some people use them for calibration. Some use them to pull up their eye gaze monitor. Some people use them for floor holder phrases. Please wait a minute, I'm talking. So lots of different ways you could utilize those. And then just going to pull out a few highlights from this device. We talked about it being for any access method. It has top of the line processing power. So we're putting in the latest generation of processing chips, which means that the device is going to be future-proofed. It works really well for using multiple programs. If you're using eye gaze software to do some training, you can balance all of that together. We've drop tested it. It works in the rain. So if somebody's moving from their van into an appointment and it's raining out, they don't have to worry about their device getting wet. It is waterproof, not water submission proof, but it can handle some rain. It's dust proof. We've got some daylight brightness mixed into it as well. So a lot of great updates here with that device. And then I am just going to jump ahead so we can see a few other things from it. We have a remote power button that allows switches to be connected in a wireless interface kind of way. So you may have wired switches, but they can go with this remote power button and they can utilize that with their device. And lastly, we have our GridPad Go, which is our newest portable Windows device. And so that's one of our tablet-based devices, also has built-in switch ports, external speakers that project, and it runs on Grid 3 for Windows, so you get access to all that robustness of the Windows version of Grid.
Ooh,
And right on time, I believe we are giving away a license of Grid.
awesome. Thank you so much. That was great. Good timing too.